It's always a pleasure to welcome community partners, colleagues, and friends to the Community College of Allegheny County. I'm Quentin Bullock, the president for the Community College of Allegheny, and it's an honor for the college to host the first My Brother's Keepers Summit and discussion. As we look at the plight to find ways to engage African American men who are indecisive as to which way to go, offering all of the resources to align and connect the pieces that lead to a final end, and then looking back on our own individual pathways as to how did we get to where we were. There were connections that led to the development and success. So I'm very honored to be a part of today's presentation and to connect the community college to the work of the community as we look at the work that we do, our investment in the community and desire to ensure our programs and services are aligned to support the audiences that seek the community college as the point of access for higher education and our workforce development training or other means. CCAC is committed to the cause. So on behalf of our Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, I welcome you and look forward to a rewarding and enhanced conversation. So thank you very much. It's my honor now to introduce the key leader of this event, Dr. Curtis Porter, Neighborhood Reinvestment Officer for the City of Pittsburgh. Dr. Porter.
Dr. Bullock, thank you very much. It's certainly our pleasure to be here, and thank you for welcoming us into this vital Western Pennsylvania institution. Indeed, vital national institution, since actually the last time I was in a CCAC location, the President of the United States was also there, talking about the value of the work and the contribution that community colleges make and that CCAC makes in particular. So it is my honor and pleasure to be here today to kick off this first local action summit for My Brother's Keeper. And let me just tell you a little bit about why we are here. It is more precisely called the My Brother's Keeper Communities Challenge. That is to say that you perhaps know that in February, that's a Braddock, PA thing, folks, February. In February of 2014, President Obama launched the My Brother's Keeper MBK initiative to address persistent opportunity gaps faced by boys and young men of color and ensure that all young people can reach their full potential. The initiative seeks to organize and capitalize on the commitment of community leaders in order to reach that goal. This is one crucial step in reaching that goal. Beyond having established the My Brother's Keeper initiative, the President also established a My Brother's Keeper task force, which made a report to the President in 2014. And so, if I can make this device work properly, and that's easy, yeah. So that in 2014, two things happened. And this is actually the three things have happened. One is that the President announced the My Brother's Keeper initiative. Two is that the President issued the The President issued the My Brother's Keeper Community Initiative Challenge. And that was a challenge that required of each mayor in the United States of America who would elect to do so to accept the President's challenge. And Mayor Bill Peduto of the city of Pittsburgh was one of the early acceptors of that challenge. And so in that regard, Pittsburgh is written into the President's remarks whenever he talks about My Brother's Keepers Community Challenge. The task force reported that there are 6 stages in the life of any person, male or female, of any race, so-called, to be successful. And those challenges include entering school ready to learn, reading at grade level by 3rd grade, graduating from high school ready for college and career, completing post-secondary education or training, successfully entering the workforce, and reducing violence and being provided a second chance. Those are building blocks for all of our young people, and indeed for some of our young men of color, they are barriers. When the president got the report, there were several recommendations, and we'll get to what some of them are, but there were also some that stood over and above singular instances. That is to say, they were cross-cutting recommendations in areas for opportunity for the My Brother's Keepers Task Force and its report to the president. That is to say, those cross-cutting recommendations are seeing the problems and tracking progress, providing incentives to learn and do what works, support comprehensive cradle-to-college and career strategies that are rooted in local opportunities, and to recognize the importance of parents and other caring adults. As a result of having accepted the challenge, Mayor Peduto's team, nominally headed by myself, but indeed the heavy lifting has been done by Ms. LaTrenda Leonard and Ms. Sharnae Hearn, and those young professionals did a survey of leadership in the city of Pittsburgh with a better than 50% response. And these are the areas that leadership in Pittsburgh thought would be important and significant to advance minority male youth in the city of Pittsburgh and in the county of Allegheny. Workforce development was number 1, education was number 2, and police interactions were number 3. So, we get a summary of what it takes and what it means to find out why we are here today. Things that have been done and things that have to be done. Step 1 has been done. The mayor and the county executive accepted the president's challenge on September the 22nd, 2014. Convene a local action summit. That is the second step for all of the mayors, which is in excess of some 100 plus mayors in the in the United States. I don't know the number because it's constantly going upward. But the second step is to convene a local action summit. That is today. This is where we are now, today, to convene a local action summit. We are the local action summit. The third step is conduct a police review and form recommendations for action. Understand that this third step has to be done 90 days from September the 22nd. So what we are doing today is forming the bulk of what the recommendations will be within the framework of a strategy that comes from this action summit. And the fourth thing is to launch an action plan that includes next steps, a timetable for review. So that goes all the way back to the things that folks saw that the president needed to do if he wanted to make his initiative successful. That is to say, seeing the problems and tracking success. Doing what works, supporting comprehensive college to cradle to college and career opportunities, and recognizing the importance of parents and other caring adults. So having taken these steps and preparing for steps 3 and 4, today being step 2, I am just here to suggest to you that we are a My Brother's Keepers community, that you seize the day, that you take this day and make it work, that you add to it, that you build upon what works, and of course that we save our youth, because that will assure our futures. And thank you. Each of you has the program for today, And with a slight alteration of the program due to the busyness of everyone in the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County in positions of leadership, I'm going to introduce Rich Fitzgerald, who is our county executive here in Allegheny County, to assist us in moving this day forward. Mr. Fitzgerald. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Porter, and I also want to thank President Bullock for hosting this summit today, and for the mayor for accepting this challenge, and for working with President Obama on making sure that we provide opportunities to young people that well, I will say it this way: those opportunities are out there sometimes, but they don't know that they're out there. They don't know the path to get them there, and that's what the My Brother's Keeper program is about. For us to help them along that path, for us to help them get to where they need to get. Probably 5 years ago, or even just a few years ago, the best path to success for a young person in this community was probably to move to another community. But right now, those opportunities are here, and they're going to be here for the next 5 to 10 years. And that's exciting. That's exciting that there's going to be jobs, that there's opportunities that are out there right now, and will continue to be out there. But we need to make sure that our young people are prepared, that they're prepared with some of the outlines that Dr. Porter talked about: graduating from high school, being able to read at grade level by 3rd grade, having the skills to be able to access the opportunities that are out there, being able to be safe from violence, so that they can go and get the opportunities that they want to access. And the great thing is, right now, I think we've got all the partners in place who can do that. We've got a mayor who's engaged and has put an administration together of folks like Dr. Porter. See, Chief McLay is here. His folks, I know Betty Cruz is going to be facilitating this. Valerie, who's worked in the community, Valerie McDonald-Roberts for so long. And on the county level, we're prepared to do the same thing. Our Human Service Department, under the leadership of Mark Cherna, and with all the different agencies that we partner with that are in the communities doing work already to take them to the next level, to be able to do that. We have that opportunity. We have that opportunity right in front of us. So, when President Obama issues us a challenge, quite frankly, we were ready to meet that challenge, and I know that we are. And we are going to do everything we can at the county level to continue to partner with our communities, with the city. This is another institution at Community College, and I know Dr. Bullock and the curriculum that he puts together, and the staff and the instructors that we put together here are doing just that, making sure that those young people, when they get out of high school, when they get out of school, that they're going to get the skills they need to avail themselves to be able to do all those jobs that are out there. So working with all of our partners, we're going to do that. And I can tell you Mary Esther Van Chura, our Director of Community Affairs for Allegheny County, who's been working in this area for so many years, is also there to assist everybody and do the things that need to be done. So I'm excited about this opportunity. I'm excited about our chances to reach people, to reach these young people, and let them reach their potential. Let them be all they can be in this great community, and continue to work together. So thank you, Dr. Porter. Thank you, Dr. Bullock, and let's keep working together. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm going to introduce our incoming police chief, Chief Cameron McLay, to speak to you. Cam?
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. When I first became aware of this, I emailed Dr. Porter right away and asked, could I please be included? Could I please be involved? The role of police in a free society is to reduce crime, fear, and disorder by working in collaboration with the members of the public, not to stand separate from and hold accountable the public, but rather be part of that public, and to create an environment within all of the communities we serve for civic life to occur, absent fear, absent disorder. We cannot do this alone has been the message I've been trying to share publicly. And as we look at the challenges that this city faces, I recognize that one of the key roles that, I recognize the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police is going to play a key role if we're going to be able to move this initiative forward. I believe it was bullet point number 3 that identified police interactions as a key determinant on whether young people of color in this community are going to be successful, or if they're going to thrive as young adults. So we recognize our role. Things are going well here. I've got a lot of people from the community very eager to work with us. I got a lot of really good, very ethically motivated people within my organization who desperately want to help. But I also recognize we've had our failures. There are communities within this city where not everyone receives the same nature and quality of policing services. Okay, there are communities where people don't feel safe, they don't feel supported, and probably most disturbing for me, there are people in these communities who don't feel safe reaching out to us. They don't feel safe calling the police because they don't trust what we're going to do. Okay, so I recognize that we've got our trust challenges, and the way that I need to meet these challenges is by working collaboratively with the members of the community to really clearly identify what those issues are, and then most importantly, developing relationships. I have to have relationships with the key leaders within the communities we serve. I need to make sure that my commanders have very strong personal relationships with the members of our community, and we have to get the men and women of my organization likewise to engage with the public in a personal and a meaningful way, because my experience has been when we start to understand one another as people, some of the barriers that keep us apart, some of the things we think we're afraid of start to melt away, and we start to be unafraid to work together. We let down our guard. There's nobody who likes what we have right now in these strained communities. On the community side, on the policing side, there's nobody who likes what we have. And so my firm belief is that when we bring people together and we start having these courageous conversations about how it feels to be a member in these communities, and for the officers to share how it feels to try to police in this environment, how well we can bridge those gaps. And I recognize also that I'm only going to be successful in doing that if I do more than just build relationships. Okay, at the end of the day, I have to restore the integrity of the leadership system and ensure that we're holding our people accountable to the highest ethical standards of our profession. So that's my commitment to you, is we're going to take this two-pronged approach to improving the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police by improving the community relationships, by restoring the integrity of the accountability systems to make sure we're holding ourselves accountable when we fail to live up to our expected standards. And perhaps most importantly for the future of my organization, I have to improve the diversity of the Bureau itself. Okay, it's unacceptable that we have the diminishing numbers of blacks and women on this Bureau. There's a lot of people working very, very hard right now. Thank you. There are a lot of people in city government within the Police Bureau working very hard right now to improve the integrity of our selection processes, to make sure that they are blind, that they are objective, and that will improve the objectivity of the process. But make no mistake about it, I know we're doomed from the start if we don't have the community relationships where young black men, where young black women look at the Bureau of Police and think, there's an opportunity for me to serve, there's a group I want to join. So I know that my concerns about the community and concerns about the diversity of my police bureau are like this. And no one's going to want to sign on for us until they look at us and say, we trust them. I think they believe what I believe, and they recognize that by coming to the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, they'll have an opportunity to serve community and to make a difference. So I'm here as an eager student to listen and look for opportunities where I can tap into the expertise in the room and find out how can the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police best help with all these important efforts. So thank you for inviting me, and I'm thrilled to be here and look forward to a good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh, Mr. Bill Peduto.
Thanks, Dr. Porter. I was standing here, I was just looking around the room at different people that are here and the opportunities that we've had to work together on different projects, different initiatives, different policies, things that came up in City Council over a decade and 2 decades. But we've never really pulled everything together. And that's really what I'm hoping this is about. The community has identified 3 key areas that we need to do a much, much better job. And the first thing you have to do to solve something is you have to admit that there is a problem. And there is a problem. We have 2 Pittsburghs. And we have a Pittsburgh where there are people, almost 25% of them, that have no access to the other part of it. There's no ladders of opportunity being created. That it's failing. And we've got to do something to fix it. So if you're a big developer and you come into the City Hall and you say, I want to build a 50-story skyscraper, you don't get sent to building inspection to get this permit and then meet with somebody in the planning department and then meet with the person. It's sort of a one-stop shop. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a one-stop shop about giving young men an opportunity to be successful. And that means that everyone in this room, everyone that is a part of this, has a role to play. We're going to look at where we are failing in education. And I know it's not the mayor's job to educate children, but the moment that they're out of that classroom, they're mine. When they're walking to school, they're mine. When after-school programs are happening, they're mine. On the weekends, they're mine. On the summer, they're mine. I'm going to make sure that they have every opportunity to succeed on that time they're outside of that classroom. We're going to make sure that they're being trained for jobs, meaning not just being trained, but knowing that these are the jobs that we're going to invest in. Where's the workforce going to come from? And working together with institutions like this, CCAC, to make sure that both are coming together. If we're going to create a policy that would give an initiative to people to put solar panels on their roofs, then we're going to go into the neighborhood and we're going to train 200 kids to put solar panels on roofs. We're going to find and work together to create jobs and opportunity, then provide extra training and skills so those salaries are higher than the salaries that they're getting right now. And that means that we're going to have to work with corporations and foundations, and we're going to bring them into this as well. And then the final part of it, rebuilding the relationships between the Pittsburgh police and the community, meaning that we need to get to the point where we are at where young men know the officers by name, where officers know the young men by name, where there is a true feeling, not just on paper, but a true feeling where there's trust both ways. That's going to take some time. It's not going to happen like turning on a light switch. And it's going to be our folks here, from our chief to our commanders to our officers, that are going to be a part of making that happen. And there's going to be initiatives that we create where folks get to see officers outside of their uniform in different types of setting and get to see them as people, and the officers get to see the kids and think, hey, that was just like me when I was 18. And that's going to take some time, but we'll get there too. We've got these initiatives. President hit it. What he was talking about when he created this was a model in Chicago that he saw that worked. A model that actually was able to break those cycles of poverty and to give people an opportunity. That's it. Give people opportunity. And he said, we got to find what's successful, and we've got to start doing it in city after city. We've got to find what's working in Pittsburgh. This isn't just a checklist of all the failings. This is like, you know that program? I can just say right down here, Manchester, with what Bill Strickland has been doing. We got to replicate that in other neighborhoods. Job and opportunities, training and education, and giving people an opportunity for a career, not just a job. But how do we do it? Where do we do it? How do we prioritize? What's the first thing we do? The second thing we do? The third? What I'll do, I'll go knock on doors. I'll knock on doors to raise money. I'll knock on doors of the big skyscrapers downtown that have letters on top of them and say, this is how you can help us. This is the way that we need to help to make sure that this program succeeds. And just like that The example I gave you before, this initiative won't have to go in silos to this department and this individual and that. It will be run directly out of the mayor's office with Dr. Porter, with LaTrenda, who's somewhere here, with all of our staff that is working on this. So there's one stop to get everything we need to make this successful. We got an opportunity. We're going to actually help people. We're actually going to save some lives in the process, too. But the most important part of it is we're going to put this together as a team, and we're going to find out and determine from your input where we start and what each of the next steps are. What are the priorities? It can't be a 200-page book. It has to be narrowed down to, once we get this done, then we have to get to this, then we have to get this. Then we'll put it out there, not just to the White House, but to the community. And that will be our report card of whether or not we've been successful and whether or not we've actually been able to help people by providing that opportunity. So there's a lot of work. There's no doubt about it. But what I can assure you is all the resources that will be needed to make it happen will be there. So I need your ideas. I need to know what's working, where we need to do more, and what the priorities are to work on education, workforce development, and building the relationship back between the police bureau and the community. So I wish you a lot of luck today, but this isn't one meeting. This goes on for the next 4 years of this administration. We supply the White House back a report. I think LaTrenda told me 120 days from the official certification of October. So we got a few months to put together the Pittsburgh report to the White House. There's weekly conversation with the White House. They are very interested to see where we're going to take this. My hope is that when we do submit it, that it's at the top of the list. And if we can get that type of support out of Washington, it will make it a lot easier to get the financial support that we'll need from the other entities to do it. So thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for caring. And thank you for understanding that it's not going to be done just by government. It has to be every organization, every individual in this room reaching out, and we'll bring the other partners as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's exactly what we're going to do. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Ms. Valerie McDonald-Roberts, who is going to give you a little more detail about how we're going to go about the day. And so, Valerie, please.
Thank you, Dr. Porter. Thank you, Mayor. I am just going to basically read what I was given. Okay, particularly after following up to the spoken word. You know, really, the city needs their own spoken word. Shanae, we got to work on this. We have to follow up in a big way sometimes after this stuff. But we got to frame the 3 core issues, and you all know what those are: workforce development, education, police, and community relations. Most of you will be broken out by focus area. They will be education, philanthropy, public safety, healthcare, advocacy, service, faith-based, government, workforce development. We will have facilitators at each of your tables to help guide a discussion on a few questions. And we are looking for scribes at those tables, people that don't mind taking notes. And we also need spokespersons to report out at the end of the session. I don't know exactly what rooms you'll be in, but what I'd like to do is, for all those who are facilitating, LaTrenda, don't you leave, for all those that are facilitating city staff that are facilitating processes, so that you know who they are, can you please raise your hands if you're helping, okay? Look around. So just look to those people who have their hands raised to ask questions about what to do. The breakout sessions will be based upon 3 simple questions. And you're called the community of professionals. You're the community leaders, stakeholders, etc. But it's worded community of professionals. So really, there's 3 questions. What are you doing? What are you doing to help young males of color around priority issues? What's the landscape? What's the boilerplate already? Two, what can the city do to help? The city's never here to reinvent the wheel. We believe in efficiency on very limited dollars, your tax dollars. So what can we do to facilitate and to help or enhance what's already being done or even make it better? As the mayor had said, he can knock on doors to foundations, to corporations, to businesses. We know where the money's at. So it's just a matter of the political heavyweightedness to be able to extract some monies or resources or in-kind to make it happen in our communities. And believe me, the powers that be that have that money, they have a very vested interest in what goes on and what wants to be done. They want to help. This summit is to be able to help address how to help, what exactly needs to be done. And the third is, how will the professional community measure success? We're looking at metrics, measurables. Anyone that gives money, you ever hear the expression, nobody wants to throw good money to bad. You've heard that before. Many organizations have heard that before. Well, if you have measurables and metrics, you at least have something on the table to show how has that organization spent the money. In other words, it's a response to those that give and want to help. What happened to the money? How is there a measurable? What could that be? So you all have to decide, what is that? Help us to be able to prove that indeed there is substance behind the charitable giving to help communities, particularly to help young black males. So again, and I have to say my own little 2 cents, think outside the box. Think outside of where you're at. What would you like to see based upon what you've already seen? We're not looking for political correctness. We're not looking for necessarily what is feasible. We're looking at what would work if we could make it, if you could make it happen. So let's think outside the box. Everything's on the table, everything. You want to say something, you have an idea that's crazy, say it. But let's get it on the table at least, because what becomes of not feasible or unfeasible can be feasible. People can make it feasible. And lastly, I just have to very selfishly, I don't care, I'll get yelled at, I don't care. But at a certain age, you just don't care. But I do have 2 things. When we talk about police-community relations, my pet peeve is that, and Dr. Lane, I don't know if Dr. Lane is here, the superintendent of schools. Dr. Lane is here, don't yell at me, Dr. Lane. But I really believe that the curricula within primary schools and middle schools, we have to start early, needs to be one where we're teaching about police-community relations. They need to understand what policing is all about. They need to know what the rules are, so when they see somebody in the community down, they at least understand what is going on and what could have prompted that incident. They need to learn, the police need to learn children and the community at a young age needs to know them as they grow up. Just like early childhood education, start early. Start not at the tail end, start early, as well as develop better police-community relations. So I believe in curricula within the schools, some kind of way. And I think that was another one, but okay, mine goes, it comes and goes, so I forgot what the other one is. I'll say it at the table myself, okay, when I remember it. So again, please look to people who had raised their hands as to where to go, and so that you can convene in your discussion groups.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Porter.
Okay, Valerie is 100% correct. You'll have discussion groups. They're convened right outside of this room. And so I believe, without a question, that we can all leave and go join the discussion group.